again, we're going to test at the PIP, okay? So there's a couple of ways to do this. The way the book, nah, you're fine, as long as you don't mind it kind of cutting into here. We're going to do these obviously individual, all right? So we need to isolate the finger that's being tested. So one way the book shows us to do that is to kind of take that finger being tested and kind of bring it up like so. That's my stabilization. I'm going to tell him to flex his PIP joint without flexing his DIP joint. The book often also says if you're unsure, you should flip like that to see that the tip is not helping, all right? If he were to curl under like that, we're getting help from both muscles. So we want him to keep that limp, all right? When he goes into that position, so that's a 3, right? I'm going to resist here. So then I'm going to press. Don't let me push. We're going to hold, and that gives me a 4 or a 5, all right? You can isolate it differently, meaning I could hold like that and just have him bend. We call that blocking. That's how we have people do their own exercise at home. We're just going to have them block at that joint and have them bend down, right? Book shows us again like this. That's maximum stabilization. If I move to the other finger, I just bring another finger up and have him bend at that. So we're isolating PIP joint, right?
It could be any finger, right?
They could be any finger. Well, except the thumb. Yep, except the thumb. So that's basically 3, 4, and 5. 2, technically I could put it in this position and have him do it. So if I do this finger, bend at your PIP there. Perfect. Again, that would just be an example of blocking. All right? Really, if we're going to palpate, this is best palpable between the palmaris longus and the flexor carpi ulnaris. We can't get too far down because what's it going to do? It's going to go into the carpal tunnel. So it's going to be under the transverse carpal ligament. So it's going to be hard to palpate down here. But up here, again, if I had him do that and make his palmaris longus, and I know the flexor carpi ulnaris is out here, I could try to palpate right in the middle. And how I would do that, let it relax for a second, is then just have him bend your knuckles, and I should feel that tendon sliding underneath my finger there. So it's an odd place to palpate it, but it's probably the best place to palpate it because otherwise we're under the transverse carpal ligament, and then out here, it's going to be deep to the profundus, okay? Which moves us to the next one, which is profundus, right? That's DIP flexion. Again, I could have him flat down there. I'm just stabilizing here, and I just have him bend up DIP, okay? Best way to palpate that would be right there, okay? So the superficialis doesn't extend beyond. So if I have him activate that, go again, I should feel it, the tendon popping up right in my finger. So that's the best way to palpate that. If I want to resist a 4 or 5, I have him bring it up. Don't let me push it down, and that's his 4 or 5. Technically, we could definitely go this way and say, can you do that? That's a 2, technically. Again, not a huge impact on gravity there, but that's how we would do it to make sure we're good. All right? Good with those two? That's PIP and DIP flexion. We're going to go to MP extension. We have some different muscles here. We have the extensor digitorum, the extensor indices, and the extensor digiti minimi. Again, we're going to be off the edge of the table. It's important that we let our fingers stay relaxed, and we're basically extending at the MP joint. And what we're going to do then is give resistance down, all right? So that would be extensor digitorum or extensor indices. We can't differentiate between those two. I'm stabilizing. He's a 3. I'm pushing down to see if he's a 4 or a 5. Easy to see where we should palpate. It comes along right there. And we would test them individually. So bring that one up. This would be just extensor digitorum. It does the 3rd and the 4th finger would be just extensor digitorum. All right, and the 5th finger would be extensor digitorum and extensor digiti minimi combined. All right, so that's how we do 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could do it in this position to get gravity out of the picture, or you do that. Okay, easy enough. Do them individually in its MP extension. Awesome. All right, let's do those.